Hello everyone! In this video, I'm going to help you solve equations that involve absolute value. But we gotta remember that the absolute value represents distance. So we have to analyze how many units is the number from 0 in the real number line. So if we consider, for example, this equation, we're looking for the absolute value of an unknown, which in this case is represented by the letter x, and we have to analyze which number is gonna be 8 units from 0. So in the real number line, we have the 8. 8 is going to be 8 units from 0. But that's not the only number. If we go to the other side of the real number line, we also have -8, which is also 8 units distant from the 0. So what does this mean? This means that for this type of equation, we're going to have two solutions. That means that the number inside the absolute value has to be either 8 or -8. So this is what we're going to have when we have the absolute value given it as a result of a positive value. Now let's go to this other case. Here we're analyzing the absolute value of x equal to 0. So which number is 0 distance from 0 in the real number line? But there's only going to be one value. In this case, that value is going to be 0. 0 is the only number that is a distance 0 from 0. So we're going to have that the value inside the absolute value, that number is going to be 0. Now, in the third example, we have the absolute value of an unknown equal to -8. But here, I'm going to give you a step to go, the script. The script here is going to be, you're going to answer that this is going to have no solution. Why is that? Because remember, absolute value is the distance. And as far as we know, distance is not negative. So there is no value that I can replace here that is going to give me a negative value. Okay, so the script here is going to be that you're going to write that this equation has no solution. So now let's practice some examples. In this first example, we have the absolute value of an expression y plus 5 equal to 16. So we have to think of which values I take the absolute value that is going to give me 16. So remember that we're going to have two possible values. It's going to be either 16 or -16, which are the two numbers that are 16 units from 0 in the real number line. So I'm going to give you as a first step to write two equations. What you have inside the absolute value, we're going to write it that either that expression is going to be 16 or that expression is going to be -16. Okay, so we're going to have two equations. And then what do? We're going to solve for what? Okay, so here I'm going to subtract 5. So I'm going to have that this is going to be 16 minus 5, which is 11. And the same thing here. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 5, which we're going to have -16 minus 5. And this is going to give me -21. And we can verify if this is true. Okay, so I can take the 11 and replace it here. So we have 11 plus 5, which is 16, and the absolute value of 16, which we know is going to give 16. And similarly for -21, if I replace the -21 here, this is -21 plus 5, which is -16, and then when we take the absolute value, it's going to give you 16. So here we have the two solutions for this equation. Now, for this example, we already know the script. We have an absolute value that is going to give me a negative number. No way, doesn't make sense. So remember, the answer for this one is going to be always no solution. That is going to be the script for this case, when we have the absolute value equal to a negative number. Now in this case, we have the absolute value of 3n minus 4 equal to 0. But remember that the only number whose absolute value is equal to 0 is 0. So what is going to be the first step here? Write the expression that you have inside the absolute value equal to 0. Whatever you have in there is going to be equal to 0. And then after that, we're just going to solve for n. Okay, so I'm going to add 4 in both sides of the equation. And last but not least, I'm going to divide by 3 so I can have n equal to 4/3. And here we have the solution for this equation.